Welcome back, dude and dudettes, to another wild episode of Send It Mate. We're here to talk about all things hunting and outdoors. And today, we've got something that'll keep your gear running smoother than a dingo's getaway.
That's right. Our show is brought to you by High Caliber, the gun and knife oil company that knows how to keep your firearms and blades in tip-top shape.
High Caliber is like the secret sauce for hunters, anglers, and outdoorsy folk everywhere. It's like the magic potion that makes your gun and knives happier than a dog with two tails.
You know, guys, I've been using High Caliber oil for a while now, and let me tell you, it's the duck's nuts. My rifle practically sings a lullaby when I take it out hunting.
And speaking of lullabies, ever tried sneaking up on a deer with a squeaky gun? It's a prime way to end up with no venison in the freezer. You'll be hungrier than a vegan at a bacon festival.
Absolutely. But with High Caliber oil, your gun will be quieter than a ninja in moonlight. You'll be stalking your prey with the grace and stealth of a mountain lion.
High Caliber doesn't just keep things quiet, it also prevents rust and corrosion, so you won't find your gear looking like it spent a season at the bottom of a creek.
That's right, and for you knife enthusiasts out there, High Caliber has got you covered too. Your trusty blade will slice through anything smoother than butter on a hot biscuit.
So, folks, don't let your gear become a rusty, squeaky mess. Head on over to highcaliber.com.au and grab a bottle of their oil today.
And if you use the code SENDITMATE at checkout, you'll get a special discount. I say again, use the code SENDITMATE for all your oil slick, stealthy hunting needs.
Thanks to High Caliber, you'll be sending it in style and silence.
So, gear up, oil up, and send it, mate. High Caliber, the ultimate oil for the ultimate hunter.
G'day, welcome to another edition of Send It Mate Podcasts. I'm Caleb and you can't hear the other two because they're not here with me. They are via video link and I've got them muted and they can't say a fucking thing. So this podcast is all me right now, so suck a dick, boys. I'm getting a finger from Josh. Couchy's laughing at me. They've both got lovely backgrounds on. I'll turn them on so you can hear them and see their ridiculous backgrounds. Boys, how you going?
Yeah, not too bad, Caleb. How are you?
Well, I bet, Josh, no one can see you right now because the only time the video switches to your screen is when you make noise.
No, I like this. Let's continue that, Josh. It's going to be good.
Just trying to mess with you. Yeah, I'll be quiet. You two talk. Go for it.
Cheers, mate. Well, yeah, we are separate tonight. We're all video linking together. There's been another COVID outbreak in my immediate peoples. So whilst I don't have it, I'm the only one out of 6 people that doesn't. So for potential spreading, I could be a super
Health
spreader.
risks.
Health risks, potential health risks. We are recording tonight apart. And it's kind of nice because I have more room at this desk. I can spread my wings a bit. And
I've got a better seat. It's a bit weird, but yeah, I don't mind it actually.
Not bad. Are you going to talk at all, Josh, or you're just going to chill there in the Sahara with your fucking no sugar?
Couchy wanted me to be quiet, so I'll be quiet, mate.
It's like the one time you listen to me. But yeah, it's a bit of a weird intro for us. So hope you guys like it.
This is not the new normal. So settle down. Yeah, it's a one-off. We have done this before, I think, during the height of lockdown, I reckon. We did it back in the Ryan days, and we weren't allowed to get together, so we had to record separately. It's not too bad.
That was before Couchy's time, so this is my first time.
It was. It's actually pretty easy. Like if you've done Zoom meetings before, it's not fucking hard. So whatevs.
No.
Do it every time we have a guest anyway. We just have 3 screens now instead of 2.
Yeah.
Oh, that's highly boring, Josh. Josh, do you actually have a joke this week or not, mate?
Nah, don't.
Just going full silence. Hey, actually, that reminds me. One of my missus' girlfriends, she recently went on a silent meditation for 10 days. Speaking of silence, and There's this place in Adelaide. It's up in the Clare Valley, and you can go there. It's like a fucking, I don't know, commune. It's a bit cult. It sounds a bit culty, but it's free. You go there, and for 10 days, you just go on a fast from speaking.
Do you mean like chicks would pay to just be silent?
You don't pay. It's free. Like people,
Wow. Free.
you know, like Buddhist monastery type arrangement, right? Where people just donate stuff like food and money and whatever. I don't know the name of this place, but you go there, and if you want to, like, I don't know, meditate and be at one with your thoughts and whatever, you just don't fucking say a thing for 10 days.
I like it. It'd be quite difficult, to be honest. Like for the first few hours, you'd be like, I got this really. But after a while, just natural instinct to talk would probably come in, and you'd fuck up plenty of times.
Yeah, like I think it'd be boring. I wouldn't. I don't know. I'd be keen to see
It'd be funny.
I want to know what the longest is I can go without talking.
Should we do that one day?
I mean, it's not very good.
We enter into it, and then, hey,
it's not very good for a podcast. Let's put it that way. But anyway, what do you do? Maybe we'll just have to get ourselves onto Alone. Oh, you still have to fucking talk to the camera, don't you? The show Alone.
There's still a bit of talk. I think you'd want to talk there because otherwise you feel like you go mad.
It's weird, eh?
To be honest.
You're saying to not feel like you're going mad, you're going to talk out loud when you're by yourself.
I think it'd resemble the closest fact of actual communication with someone. So you see a lot of those contestants sort of seem to enjoy talking to the camera as if it was a person, just because of that fact.
True.
So it's more of a companion than just part of the film. So
we are social animals. So yeah, I think more than 10 days, you'd start to go a bit crazy.
Probably. Well, speaking of Alone, the latest season started. The Australian season rather started. So this is a Thursday we're recording this. It started last night. So I'll have to catch it up and check it out. I only saw it the other night.
Yeah, something else to watch.
Where is it? Is it in Australia?
I think it was filmed in Tasmania, but by the time this,
So not Australia.
by the time this comes out, I will have probably watched it, and I could say exactly where it is filmed. But I'm assuming it's Tasmania because that's what Caleb told us.
Yeah.
The awkward silence. It's weird when we can't.
It is an awkward silence.
Someone's going to have to assume the role of host here, I think.
I'm gonna break the ice on this Zoom call thing. That I was going to say it before, but we moved on.
Yeah, go.
I might as well bring up the subject now. So I'm hoping this doesn't become a thing, but with my work, we've just picked up new work up north a bit. So I've had a pay increase to make that worth it for me. So it looks like that I'll be heading away for 10 days and back for 4. So, and that roster's sort of continuing for indefinitely, really, for as long as I want it to be. So I'm not sure. That means that I reckon every second cast for me might be this.
Shit.
So,
what do you reckon?
Yeah,
Josh?
if we want to maintain the same sort of recording.
So just majority vote him out now, Josh, while we can.
Well, I've got another bombshell. That's funny you mentioned that because I may have to go to the States for 3 months for work. So
What? Why? Work?
I need to get, more of a course actually, not work, but yeah, 3-month course in the States.
What's the course doing?
Oh, I'll tell you later.
Cool, that was worth bringing up.
Kind of want to say after I've done it. So yeah,
Like, can we get a ballpark area of what it involves?
Male gigolo.
the United States. There you go.
You're getting a gender reversal or something, and they don't do it in Australia. You have to go to US.
It's very hard to do in Australia, and it takes about 4 years to do in Australia. So yeah, the easiest option was to just do a 3-month course in the States. So
Did I hit the nail on the head?
with.
You got.
Funny.
I'd imagine that process would take a few years, to be honest. So you're going female now.
Yeah, basically transitioning. Yeah.
So there's no actual topic of what it is. Like what's give us something.
No, I kind of want to do it first, man. Or tell you in person, not just put it out there for the Australian peoples to hear. But yeah,
Wow.
it's just a
All
cool.
right, can we have like a quick intermission of chopping out? And can you just say it? Because it's killing me.
No, can wait.
Jeez. You do realise we're recording a podcast here. You like, I'm doing this life-changing thing. I'm going to go away for 3 months. By the way, I can't tell you what it is.
Yeah, no, it's not. I can't tell you. It's just I would like to do it first to see if I pass and can do it before I sort of talk about it. If that makes sense. I'm sure you've had the same points in your life where you're like, okay, I want to do this, but I don't know if I'm going to get through it, so I'll do it before I go. You know.
So you're downplaying expectations.
Yeah.
You're downplaying expectations so you don't get performance anxiety.
Yeah.
Well, that too. It's pretty. Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of strange. So, anyway, this is missing the bigger point. So we might have to do Zoom meetings or Google Meets meetings for a little while.
Well, that's the beauty of the internet, isn't it? So this is I'm guessing it's something career driven.
It is. Yeah. Yep.
Gigolo.
Yeah, it is.
It's gigolo, 100%. He's going to Vegas to become a gigolo.
I would love to see if there is actually a course to do to become a gigolo.
I think it's underground, bro.
I mean, hopefully
Yeah,
they don't
so
have to
like-
step you through the basics, like the absolute basics.
It's a full living course, man. So, yeah, I'm presuming if you're doing a gigolo course, you need to learn from the basics, man.
Fuck. We didn't take long with that grass, did we?
No, well, if we're not going to get a specific answer, then we're going to just assume it's the craziest thing it is.
How far north are you going? Still in SA?
Nah, to be honest, it's not that far north. Yeah, it's still SA. It's just around the Barra area. So it's close enough that it's not too bad to drive back, but it's far enough away that it's too far to do it every night.
Yeah.
So this is all involved with the wind farms and all that. So it's a good project for the company. And it's a good project for me too as a supervisor. So should be good. Or it'll be a pain and I'll quit in a few months. One of the two.
Well, we'll have to see what the internet's doing.
Yeah. So I have a feeling I'll have to switch to Telstra, but
Yeah, if not, we'll be cramming multiple podcasts in a night. We could do that. I said, if not, we'll be cramming multiple podcasts in a night.
Yeah, which is, I thought about that too, because I'll be back for 4 days, so we could do multiple podcasts. We need to do 2 to maintain the output we have.
Weekly,
but if I'm doing anything on that weekend, it makes that really hard. Or vice versa, you guys are doing something. So
It does.
Yeah.
Well, we just managed a intermission for me where I went away on holiday for 7 days, but we had podcasts in the bank. So I don't know. It's hard.
It's actually kind of good to get a little break.
It was kind of good actually. So we recorded. I think we just banked up a couple in a week. Cody's episode and something else, but it is hard doing multiple in the day, like, because we have talked about it before, but the well runs dry. Thankfully, I'm talking right now because Josh is blowing his nose. But, you know, I was listening to a podcast today, like one of Broden from Auntie Donna. He's got a footy podcast, and I was listening to that, just checking it out. And he was saying he started that at 8 a.m., that podcast, and then he had 3 Auntie Donna podcasts to do that afternoon. So I'm like, fuck me, four in a day. That's a lot of talking.
You would be drained, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah, bloody hell, you'd want to go on a 10-day detox from talking.
I run the
After that.
well
like-
dry, like fucking talking one podcast, and that's my word limit for the week.
I got to admit, it's difficult. Like I struggle a lot getting through like just one podcast a week and trying to think of things to say, but also trying to research and keep current with things. So you've got something good to interject with, and then you got guests. So you've got to research guests, and then obviously there's two more of us talking to the guests or interviewing the guests. So you're trying to find questions that maybe you two haven't thought of to talk about, which is difficult. It is.
It is, but it is easier with three people for sure. Like instead of a one-on-one interview, because once you're like drawing a blank and there's only one of you, like there's plenty of times when I do, and I'm like, I just looked at one of you, I'm like, fuck, I hope you two have got a question.
It seems to work out pretty well, though. We seem to sort of pick up our low sort of points. Someone's always got something. It's generally Josh he's got this burning question he needs to ask. But, but it works out well.
Well, it's really hard to also interject when there's like four people talking, trying to pick points and not talk over people and wait for a pause. And so it's like before you move on topics, unless you can somehow double back to it, you sort of got to get in. You just almost got to jump in.
I actually didn't think that you minded talking over people, Josh.
Not that
You
rude.
seem to jump the gun a bit. But
Not
no,
that.
that's funny.
But yeah. Oh no, podcast etiquette. Maybe there's a 3-month course on how to do that as well.
Speaking of your 7 days away, Caleb, what you up to?
It was pretty nice. Actually, I went away to Hamilton Island, which is somewhere I've never been before. My missus has been twice previously. She's been with her family and been with friends before, so she speaks very highly of it. It's very, I don't know, it's up there on her list of favourite places, basically. So she's always wanted to go back with me as well, but the opportunity came up because it was her mum's 60th. So, yeah, she wanted the family to go away and celebrate her 60th. So I got a gig, which was nice. 7 days, Hamilton Island. Got an apartment each, 3 couples. Good spot. The humidity wasn't crazy, which was nice. And you do get used to it. So I actually got a tan. You probably can't see it on screen now, but my body is actually tanned.
Nice. You didn't peel this time?
No, I didn't. I probably got a mild sunburn a couple of times, but it just sort of turned to tan straight away, which never happens to me. I just go bright red usually. But I think it's the difference the difference in the sun or the heat. Very dry heat here in Adelaide. The sun will fucking burn a hole in your eyes. And up there it's humid, but the sun has a bit of bite every now and then. So it was nice, just, chilling by the pool, going for a swim up bar.
So for
cocktails.
anyone listening, from anyone either out of the country or for me, because I have no idea where Hamilton Island is. Where is it?
It's in Queensland, so it's kind of like the closest mainland town is Airlie Beach, I think.
Yeah.
So you go to Brisbane and you go further north. It's between Brisbane and Cairns. Don't quote me, but yeah, it's sort of like the Whitsunday group of islands. Hamilton Island's part of that. So there's Hayman Island and Whitsunday Island and a few others. But it's a nice spot. It's kind of like
nice.
the bottom of the Barrier Reef type thing.
What sunburn? What did you get up to up there?
You say what part got sunburn?
I said, apart from it being sunburn, what did you get up to?
A lot of drinking. Something you established pretty early on is that everything's very expensive. So everything on Hamilton Island is owned by the one group. So you purchase anything anywhere and it comes up on your credit card statement as Hamilton Island. So the only independent businesses are the IGA and the Liquorland. So with the prices of everything, it pays, especially if you have an apartment, to go stock up on some alcohol so you can just walk around everywhere and drink. So as soon as I left the hotel every day, I'd have a roadie in hand, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, whenever that was. And you just walk around drinking, go to the pool, drink in the pool, as long as you got no glass. It's a nice beach, Cat's Eye Beach. You can hire stand-up paddle boards, catamarans, kayaks, I didn't do that. A lot of, laying around, basically, drinking, eating. We did a big walk. I can't remember the beach we walked to first, but then we did Passage Peak, which is like the highest peak in the place. So that was pretty good. That was a bit of exercise, a lot of steps. But I did try out my new shoes, actually. I got some new Under Armour sneakers just before the trip. I bought, I think they're Machina 3s by Under Armour. They got Bluetooth in them.
Oh, yeah.
What for?
Yeah.
For
Nice.
exercise, measuring your steps and distance. They're running shoes. So if you're a runner, instead of having, a watch or whatever track your distance, you just fucking start the app on your phone and it's fucking accurate because obviously it's in your shoes. So it measures your stride length and elevation, distance, speed, everything, man. It's pretty cool.
Is that the shoes that if you hook up to like Google Maps or a running program, I think Under Armour have their own, I think it's Under Armour Run or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I was
But if
using.
you have a route, you might set it to vibrate left and right to keep you on track.
That might be a setting because I was using Under Armour Run, but I didn't find that. Didn't even know about that, to be honest. So, but it was pretty cool. Like it was very accurate with the track that I went.
Yep.
What do you mean,
Sweet.
vibrate? Keep you on track, man?
Your shoe.
So like you're running along and you're obviously not looking at your phone, right? So when you're coming up to a left turn, your left shoe will vibrate. So it'll tell you to turn left. And your right shoe will tell you to turn right.
Can't you just see that it's a left turn or a right turn and turn?
What if it's a fork?
No, but if you've got if you've got a route that you've sort of set up on your phone to try and sort of run a certain distance, then you want to follow that route.
I'll get that.
So, and especially if you're in a area where you haven't ran before, then a little guidance wouldn't go astray.
That'd be sick, actually, if you were like high country, say hunting, you've done your leg, you've shot an animal or something like that, and you want to backtrack out. Instead of sort of looking at a GPS, your feet just vibrate to keep you as you're walking out of the country. That'd be sick.
I don't know how you're feeling.
It would come in handy, that.
I don't know how you're feeling it, unless it's like vibrating as much as like a PlayStation remote. That sort of vibration. Like, I don't know how you're feeling that while you're walking or running.
I dare say that to be something significant. Unless it doesn't have to be at the sole. I'm not sure where exactly it vibrates, but
It's strapped to your nuts or something.
This is what I heard. Not really much running them.
I did think though, because when I pulled up the app after I'd finished, I was like, this is tracked exactly where I've been, because I'd like along the way I was studying the maps, and it also it has audio alerts to you as well to tell you as you're going along, like your phone says you've walked a kilometre, this is your average speed, blah, 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 blah. And all the signposted areas, it had what the exact distance was to the next junction, and it was bang on every time. So I'm like, well, it's pretty accurate. And then when I looked at the map of where I'd been, the first thing I thought was, fuck, this would be awesome out hunting. Like if it was in my Under Armour hunting boots, for the exact reason Josh just said, you can just get your way back to wherever you've come from, like the old breadcrumbs type thing.
Or just to plot your hunt as well, so you can sort of repeat that in future.
Yeah.
Talking about maps and things, actually, Steve got us onto an app the other day. It's called Base Camps. It's like your Onyx, right, Shannon? But there was one feature on it that I thought was great, because it basically acts like a compass. So you can, say you shoot an animal across a ravine, you can like range it and then shoot a bearing, and it programs it into the maps, into the app. So you can go and walk to that exact spot where the animals you've taken the animal from. Say if the animal runs off after being shot and dies in some thick scrub, you can at least find the spot where you've hit him to then like trace the blood trail or whatever.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I wanted to use it this weekend, but I didn't have an opportunity to. That particular feature, but yeah, pretty crazy how tech's going. I mean, if you integrated all that into your shoes with Bluetooth, that'd be sick.
Okay.
I dare say hunting boots will go that way, just for that purpose, just for like just tracking where your hunt went, the kilometers and all that sort of stats. Because, you know, I guess it'd be nice to know all that instead of just trying to gauge where you've been.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
The thing for me, like as well, was seeing the elevation for like what point in the trip my elevation was. So that'd be handy, just so you're like, oh fuck, I've got like a hell of a climb coming up on the way back or whatever. I mean, you remember it obviously, but
so you can avoid that, avoid it, and go around.
avoid it exactly. Fuck that shit. But I am kind of hoping, maybe the next version of the Under Armour Hover Dawn boots go that way. They do something like that, maybe.
yeah.
Although,
Question.
yeah,
Obviously, they're Bluetooth shoes. Is that just something else you need to charge up?
no, there's no charging. There's nothing. There's nowhere to charge on the shoes.
How? I don't get that part then. Like, how would they have the power to connect up and just sort of transmit that?
I dare say it's some sort of piezoelectric fucking with the pressure of your foot. Because you can produce electricity from pressure on a plate. Like there was, I remember many years ago, I was looking a bit into it when I was at uni. There's like a dance floor somewhere in Europe, I think it was, and they actually generate electricity from all the people on the dance floor just from putting pressure on the floor and moving around. So I'm assuming it's something like that. Well, I don't know. Yeah. I need to look into it.
It's all sort of like force is energy. So they found a way to harness that. It's the same as your smartwatches from Garmin, I'm pretty sure make them. And just the centrifugal force of you walking charges your watch.
Yeah.
So
it's got to be something
similar.
Like that. It's just
similar
motion is creating the power, enough power to power Bluetooth, basically. So there's no switches or cords or anything that have anything to do with the shoes. They just, you connect the first time and they're on. You just have to have your phone near your shoes. And then every other time after that, it's just like connecting to a smartwatch.
Can you get these shoes right now?
Can I get them?
Yeah, want to have a look.
I want to see them.
Oh, fuck. All right. Well, you two talk amongst yourselves and I'll go get them.
So, how you been?
Do you feel like that you'd be able to use these shoes, Josh? I have a feeling they'll be cool at the start and then you'd be because it's just an extra app, it's an extra data that you probably would get over pretty quickly.
Yeah, look, if it was sort of hassle-free, I'd probably use them. But, if you had to actually put effort into using it, I'd probably be just like, nah. Hard pass.
Well, I dare say once you link them up to an app, it'll be pretty hassle-free, but you would need to go into that app to actually receive any of the data that you've collected.
Yeah, which would be good, man, because I'd like to know how many Ks exactly you do, like through elevation. You know how, like, as the crow flies, it might be, say, 2 Ks, but with elevation, it might be 2.3 Ks or something like that, or 2.5. It'd be nice to know how many exact Ks we do, on some of our hunts or hikes or whatever. Definitely.
Yeah. Sweet.
Well,
yeah, Caleb's got the shoes out.
I do.
Not a bad colour scheme.
Well, I generally try and go for a black sneaker generally. So it's black and grey with a bit of orange on it. So those are the babies. Fuck knows how the Bluetooth is powered. It's quite a thick sole compared to most. So it's in there somewhere. I got to Google this. How do Bluetooth shoes get power?
Can Under Armour come up with the goods? I tell you what. They're the brand to go for, I feel.
They're so comfortable. I got bloody trackies for Under Armour, and they are the most comfortable, soft. It's like 1,000 little cotton buds just touching your legs when you're wearing them.
I just want to say before we start talking about them that there is no affiliation. We just like the gear.
Yeah.
I joke around with the missus because I'm starting to collect more and more Under Armour stuff. So on this holiday, I had this Under Armour top I'm wearing now. I had an Under Armour hat. I bought some Under Armour shorts as both like, I don't know, exercise and swimming trunks combo. And then I had these shoes, So I was just putting all this shit on, just like sponsored by Under Armour.
There's a few times where I've gone to walk out of the house and then look at myself from the Under Armour top, hat, pants. I'm like, maybe I'll take one of them off.
Yeah, I had to dial it back. Like I put this whole outfit on, and I'm like, yeah, nah, I better change the top. She's like, I'm glad you got there first. Before I had to tell you. So
You look like some like uni track runner or something.
yeah. Well, if someone was said anything, I was just like, well, I'm fucking sponsored, so shut up, which I'm not. So I'm looking up what it says. It says, as far as power goes, you don't need to worry about charging them up since the batteries and the sensors are all self-contained. According to Under Armour, the record chip is designed to outlast the life of the running shoes themselves, so longevity will depend on each individual and how much they work out. That said, the company is confident that you won't ever have to worry about running out of power. So there you go.
I figured they probably put more of a control in the lifetime of the shoe because when the battery runs out, the shoe's pretty much just a normal shoe and people will buy a new one. So this way they can go in 5 years, the battery's dead, so they're going to buy a new one.
Anyway, they're comfortable as fuck. They're like,
So-
you take a step and you feel like you're just launching forward because they're nice and cushiony. Not
Maybe they could be hunting footwear
Nah.
or your summer footwear anyway.
Nah. Because the Under Armour shorts I bought, actually, I will wear hunting now because they're like olive green. So I reckon I've found some hunting shorts for myself. They're perfect. They've got big pockets. They're sweat wicking. They're light. And I'm like, they're the right colour scheme as well. Good purchase.
Yeah, may as well.
Yeah.
Just expect to get them bloody and yeah. That's the only other thing. The only
No,
doubt-
washes out.
Does it completely wash out?
Well,
My Korean pants are now got blood stains on them, and I'm like, oh, every other pair of pants or clothes will wash out blood fairly well, but there's just like this like little faint outline, and I'm like, god damn it.
Well, interesting you say that because all my Hunter's Element gear, the blood, there is like you can't see anything on the camo side, but turn them inside out and there's like brown blotches and discoloring. So on the inside,
Yeah, because they got a
yeah.
white sort of light internal.
What your ass better, mate? You got brown stains inside.
Pot kettle, my friend. Let's not talk about whose ass is in a state of disarray.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was is amazing
Yes.
views actually from that Pasha's Peak when you're up there. Like 360 views of all the islands around the place. There is fish fucking everywhere there. Like the other highlight for me was what's the name of the beach? I was just there with the white sand. Whitehaven Beach, which is like I think it's like 90-something% silica in the sand. Like it's white as fuck. And when you walk on it, it squeaks.
There was a beach similar to that in Thailand that we went to. It was kind of weird.
But yeah, that was all right. That's sort of like a half-hour boat ride over there from Hamilton Island. Then they ferry you on shore, and then you get a couple of hours there just to swim and do whatever. They give everyone the option of a stinger suit, which is like a full body, like a wetsuit, but really thin, just to like protect you from jellyfish, basically. Even though it's not like the height of jellyfish season or stingers, they give everyone the option. So like 80% of people get one of these stinger suits and go swimming, and they just look like absolute fucking idiots. Basically, they're like, oh, the risk is about 1 in 10,000, but, you know, it's like wearing a seatbelt, you know, which I thought was an interesting analogy. It's like, it's better to have the seatbelt on in case you have an accident, but more than likely you won't have an accident. And I'm like, this beach has got no higher risk of the other fucking beaches I've been swimming on in Hamilton Island of having stingers. It's not really the season for it right now, or right at the end of it. All the people on like their private yachts jumping off their yachts into the water didn't have stinger suits on, did they?
Yeah, and they go there all the time. So,
but you like walk a meter
I would've thought-
into the water and there's just like fucking trevally swimming around you, and they don't give a shit either.
Did you fish?
Nah, I didn't fish.
How?
can you fish? Can you fish there though? Is that Is that legit?
I
Or is it
don't
like
know.
a
I
fucking
don't
protected?
know. I don't know what the. I know you can fish on Hamilton Island because they hire out fishing gear, and I saw some people fishing.
No.
Hamilton Island
Yeah.
has to maintain 50% national park. So everything that's not resort is national park. So it's all protected. You can't have dogs there or anything.
Oh, okay.
But you can actually camp at Whitehaven Beach overnight. But that involves getting camping gear over there. But I don't know about fishing actually. I'd be tempted. If I was staying there, I'd be like, I'm going to fucking fashion a spear and stab the cunts because it would be so easy. Like you're just standing, there's like 10 swimming all around you and they're like, I don't know, half a metre long.
Oh, man,
So you say we film our own series of Alone?
Mate, if I was going to be
On Hamilton
stranded
Island.
anywhere, I would happily eat fish because there were some fucking big fish.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice and relaxing.
do a Bear Grylls when we're like off camera, stay at the resort. then go on camera and put some mud on our faces and be like, yeah, we've been out here for 3 days straight. Yeah.
Could do that. Well, speaking of food, I must say the food everywhere was like all the restaurants was tasty. Expensive, but fucking good food, great food. And there was one place we went for lunch 3 days in a row just because it was near the swim up bar pool. And if for anyone who's been there, it's Sales, it's called. And it's just whatever, your sort of burgers and schnitzel type arrangement. So we went there for lunch 3 days in a row, and the first day we ordered lunch, went up to the bar to order. There's the QR code at the table where you can scan and sort of do everything online and it comes to your table, or you can go up to the bar, order your food, order your drinks. So we ordered our food and drinks, paid, stepped across to where they're pouring the drinks, took the drinks, went back to the table. 5 minutes later, drinks come out again. And she said to me, "Oh, got your beer for you." I'm like, "Oh, I've already got it." She's like, "Oh," she walked back to the bar, came back. "Oh, they've double poured. You can have this one complimentary." I'm like, "Cool, thanks." And then 2 other people at the table got the same deal. I'm like, "Oh, this is cool. Like free drinks, cool." Like when it's a $15 fucking drink, you're like sick. Then we went back the next day and we're like, I wonder if it'll happen again. What are the chances? Did the same thing, and the drinks came out 5 minutes later, double up. I'm like, fuck yeah, we have found the glitch in the matrix here. Then we got to the third day, and I'm like, surely not. And by this time, we're like, well, let's get the most expensive thing on tap, which apart from the beers on tap, there was like CC and dry on tap. $15 for one CC and dry, right? On tap.
Yeah.
So we all ordered it, all 4 of us, and paid for your food, got your drink, went back to your table. 5 minutes later, full round of complimentary double pours. And I was like, fuck, these guys need to – and this time it was a supervisor serving us, and he's just like, look, just drink them. Like, we're only going to pour them down the sink. I was like, fuck, yeah, we've worked it out. So if anyone goes to Sales, pay for your food and drinks at the same time, take your drink back to your table, and then you might get a double up.
Sweet. Fuck
Life
yeah.
hack.
Life hack indeed.
It's not often you find little moments like that.
We
where you
worked
can
it
actually
out.
Win.
We worked it out. It's about $130 worth of drinks we got for free, just because their system was fucked, and they were like putting the food through to the kitchen and then sending the drinks to the bar, even though we'd already taken drinks back to the table.
Is that sort of a marketing ploy on their behalf though? Because they triple the cost of their drinks. They give a little bit back to you occasionally, and you keep coming back.
That was pure fuck up.
They just play it as a fuck up.
Pure fuck
and
up.
then you look like you win more.
Oh, look, I was happy to take it, especially when you're paying $25 for a cocktail somewhere else, man.
Yeah.
So it is definitely a very expensive holiday, but nice. It's so relaxed, man. It's just like part of Australia. You don't feel like you're not in another country, but it doesn't feel foreign at all. It just feels like nice Australian beaches, chilled.
Would you go again?
I would, but not for a while. Just because it's so fucking expensive. Not that I had to foot the bill for the whole thing for this trip, but yeah, very expensive. Especially when you compare it to like the classic go to Bali or Thailand, and you get luxury for cheap. You know.
But then again, everything's English there, so it's everything easy to get around and just do your thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to Bali. I kind of liked that just for the culture shift and experiencing new culture, and you can't relax to the same degree, I guess, but because you're sort of like, oh, you know, this is foreign, and what are they saying, and what's happening here, and you can't sort of autopilot through it, but you can, because it's so cheap and it's luxurious. You're sort of like, fuck yeah, it feels real good.
It's like when we went to Phuket, same sort of thing. Like most people speak English around that sort of immediate area, and you can get by. But if you go into a shop that a tourist would never sort of go into, like just your general servo kind of thing, it's quite difficult then to have a conversation, try and work out what you want.
Yeah.
But you never really sort of switch off properly until you get back to your room, because there's always that barrier of trying to get across what you need. They have the basic words down pat, but when we got back in Australia, it was a bit of I kind of missed it as well, because their customer service was just amazing over there.
Yeah.
But it was great to actually talk and just be normal. So
100%, man. I get what you're saying. For sure. But yeah, that was me. That was a nice relaxing time away. And then everyone I was with came back and got COVID. So yeah. I'll tell you what though, like one thing, and I think it sort of fucked me up the first day was the plane, and like planes are just stuffy and shit, and you're just like in a fucking sardine can with everyone else's farts. So you turn the air on, and that air is just fucking shit. You just feel crap after a flight, and it's like we flew Sydney and then Sydney to Hamilton Island, so you're like flying for 5 hours, and it's just shit. So I felt a bit crap to start, and then you get to the hotel, it's humid outside. You walk into the hotel room, I'm like, fuck, these air conditioners are cranked. Like it was freezing in the room, which again, I wasn't complaining. But then I read the sign, like, please keep your air conditioner on 24/7 because mold will appear in a few hours if you turn them off because it's so humid. I'm like, yeah, okay, no worries. I'll happily do that.
You wonder how many people actually don't read that sign and just flicking it off. And next minute, they come back from their little tour outside and it's just fucking green.
Well, supposedly they were on dehumidify, but all I could see was they were just on like 21 degrees and cold. But, you know, I'm not complaining. Okay. I like it cold. But just breathing the same fucking air cycled, I think that's sort of what got to everyone, plus wherever they got COVID from. But the fucking self-crested cockatoos, you have to keep the glass door shut because they will come in and just raid the fuck out of whatever's in your apartment.
That's gold.
Like you get a screen door and you get glass sliding doors where we stayed, which is the Whitsunday Apartments. And the very last day, we just like, while we're packing up, whatever, we shut the screen, went and had a shower, whatever, didn't shut the glass doors. Next minute, I've come out of the shower and I'm like, I just saw white flapping around in the room. I'm like, there's a fucking bird in here. And then I went out into the sort of living area. I'm like, the cunt's fucking cut a hole in the screen, just sliced his way in, and then he was sort of walking back through the same hole to get out. I'm like, these bastards are fucking brave. They know what they're doing.
Right. It's somehow like the animals know when they're protected and they're generally not abused. So that's probably the worst thing for it, when they just get their sort of confidence up and they know where to go.
Yeah.
They've done it a million times.
I don't know if you've seen currawongs. I don't think we have them here, but they look like a crow or a magpie, but they've got a bright yellow eye. So when we're on Whitehaven Beach, there's like these little picnic tables right up the back near the scrub. So we put all our stuff on there, like bags zipped up, but snacks in there, right? So then everyone sort of got out of the water, went back to the bags, and like, there's fucking sunglasses, hats, chips, everything strewn everywhere. And I'm like, what the fuck? And there's the birds. They unzip the bags to get into them.
Oh, so it wasn't just torn into. They knew how to get in.
Yeah, they know how to open zips, man. They're fucking clever.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I thought maybe someone, there's like some homeless dude in the bush pulling the piss, but no, then we put everything back together, zipped everything up tight, thought, oh, maybe we didn't zip it up. But no, they got into it again. I'm like, fuck that. So don't leave your shit anywhere.
Fucking padlock his zips.
Pretty much.
That's crazy.
Anyway,
Only in Australia.
enough about me in the sunshine of Queensland. What did you two get up to last weekend, independent of each other?
Yeah, so both myself and Josh had a booking for a hunt through the ADA. These were separate hunts, just in the same sort of area. I don't know, my weekend was pretty quiet, to be honest. So I was planning on getting away from Adelaide at about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, which would allow me to have a 3-hour drive out there to get there at a decent time. Worked late, so I didn't leave till 6:30. So that kind of sucked. Getting out to the property at about 10. And there's always that, like, oh, I hate rocking up at a property late because you sort of, admittedly, there was no setup or swag or anything like that. There was all just a hunting sort of hut there. So it was just a sleeping bag and gear just thrown in the hut. But it's just, I feel like, when you want to get there and you want to have a beer and you want to chill out for a bit before going to bed. But I was hunting with 2 mates of ours. So they were already there. They were already in bed. And then one of them come out to greet me. So I pretty much got there, went straight to bed. And what sort of was making us a little nervy was there was 2 other random hunters booked on the same area. So they would use the hut as well.
Oh, yeah.
And it was 10:30 and they hadn't rocked up yet. So we were sort of talking about it just before going to sleep. We're like, fuck, I hope these guys don't rock up at like 1 or 2 o'clock and they come strolling in and just like as normal and wake us all up. So that was a downfall of having it's not a public hunt, but it's open to other members of the ADA. So,
Did they rock in it too?
say again?
Did they rock in it too?
No, they ended up rocking in. So they had the Saturday booked like we did, but they rocked up at Saturday afternoon,
Oh,
which was probably a good time. So they wanted to get their Saturday afternoon hunt in, but they obviously had some sort of stuff going on. So they didn't rock up till Saturday, which is pretty good.
Yeah, very nice.
But it was pretty good in that little I'll say the property name. It was Jack's Hut, and it wasn't a bad little property. Like immediately around the hut itself was pretty much like a couple of square kilometers of just dense bush, and bordering that was sort of farmland, sort of sporadic, sort of tea tree or whatever it is, just patches of bush similar to our private property that we hunt at. That was pretty good. So there wasn't a whole lot of deer about. You're neighbouring a private property that's high fenced, and it's kind of frustrating because you're hearing all the bucks and stuff croak away, and you're watching them too, but you can't do anything about it. I left my caller in the car because I'm like, I could call them across. That's legal. But the caller was in the car, so I didn't get a chance to use that. To be honest, I was quite sort of stupid in leaving that behind every time. But,
Did you see much on the property?
we only saw, what did we see? I'm pretty sure we saw the same pair of doe fawns. So we only saw the two pairs, one doe, one fawn. And I think we saw them twice. Pretty sure they were the same. But they were just fleeting sort of moments of them traveling between the patches of bush. They weren't hanging about. So no one pulled a shot on that. Well, me and 2 mates, neither of us shot.
Yep.
Which was disappointing.
How'd you go
But,
sorting out with the other 2 hunters that were there, like where you were going and all that sort of shit? Because when you and I went on a recent trip and stayed in that ADA property, there's pretty much nowhere you can split up. Like it's just one little wedge of land where we went. So it almost felt pointless writing what section of this tiny wedge you were going. Is that the same at Jack's? Like you were in, I don't know, northwest corner and they were like, oh, we're going southwest, or how did that all work?
So the positive about Jack's compared to our other property we went, they had two zones in that area.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, so S1 was the open area where the sporadic bush, and S2 was the dense sort of bush. We were just riding on the board because we didn't know they were going to rock up at Saturday afternoon. So we just had to keep riding it and make sure that was there when they did rock up.
Yep.
It wasn't too bad, actually. So they rocked up when we're back at camp, which made it easier because we can just generally talk about it. And then we just went through the drills to write out where we were going, even though we already communicated beforehand.
Yep.
But it was quite simple, to be honest. But what was frustrating was when these guys rocked up Saturday, we had a chat, worked out, because we took up 3 out of the 4 bunks. So they ended up sleeping in like the kitchen area.
Oh, yeah.
Just to sort of split it up. So we sorted out what the sleeping arrangement was going to be, and then we're like, well, we're going to head out. We went back out to S1, and they were all cool with that. And they went to S2, and we're about an hour into our sort of walk. Then we hear a shot ring out, and we're like, these fuckers have shot a deer. They've rocked up, and they've shot a deer in the first few hours, and we're yet to just have a decent crack. So that was kind of it was frustrating. So we're hoping to get one that walk around, come out sort of fruitless, and back to that. And we're like, yeah, you got it in the back of your head, because I'm not sure about you guys, but I'm pretty sure Josh would be. It's a little bit of a competitive spirit that you're coming back in with nothing, and these guys literally just rocked up and shot it. They ended up shooting a doe. But they were quite disappointed with the outlook of that property at that time, because they usually hunt that property.
Oh, okay.
And they've been members for 4 years, I think that was. But they only saw that one doe. So they reckon last time they were there, they saw dozens. So I think it just depends on the movement of the deer around sort of, we got our private property sort of near it. It depends on where they're at the time. So.
See, I still think, because I wasn't far from you, because I fly camped on another property that was probably a couple k's down the road from Jack's, and we heard the chopper take off. Before it took off, it also let off some, what I presume is test fires.
Yeah.
And then they took off, and they headed pretty much directly straight across Jack's. And I do wonder if there was any of the private landholders in between have allowed the chopper to cull in between, and it's just sort of really, really dwindled the numbers in that area down that further that side.
That's probably the case, to be honest. I don't remember hearing a chopper, but we did hear a lot of. We thought it was a shotgun. It was a lot of double barrel, sort of 2 shots pretty close together. Mm-hmm. Unless that was the chopper, and their standard might be to crack off 2 rounds at that deer. Yeah. So that could have been the case. We just thought someone was having a shitload of fun, which they probably were if it was a chopper.
Yeah.
So
it was definitely a semi, because we heard like someone pretty much mag dump.
Okay, we didn't hear that.
Yeah.
So that would have been pretty cool to listen to. How close was that to you?
Actually, it was really close. We thought it was on the property next door. It was that close. Initially, from the high fence, we heard one round initially, and we thought, oh, someone's struck it lucky in the high fence. But then probably minutes after, not even minutes after, just that mag dump. And then maybe 15 minutes after that, the chopper just takes off.
So you seen the chopper?
Yeah, seen and heard it. So we heard it to start with, and then it raised above the tree line and, flew down. We weren't, that close. It was still probably, I don't know, it was under a K away, I reckon. But, yeah. I mean, those choppers are hammering it. I believe that they're doing a big cull now till the 12th or 9th or 12th or something down that way. I've had a few mates say that it sort of pushed the deer further out but other mates I've spoken to, they've said that they've seen the choppers in the paddock, and they'll be in like a private block, and there'll be a deer in amongst a herd of cattle, and they'll just fly heaps low, and in amongst the cattle, disperse the cattle, chase the deer, and shoot it. So I don't know how many deer are escaping. Obviously, there'll still be a few, but definitely pushing them out a little bit. But I think it's sort of hammering the numbers quite badly.
Just one thing I thought of while you're talking about that. Sort of you're judging the distance of the sound of the shot when you're listening to them crack off rounds. We'll be used to hearing the shot of the rifle through the trees, where
At the same level.
the same level. So, but the choppers would be above those trees. I wonder if that'll actually. It's a weird thing I thought of, but I wonder if that'll sound closer than it is, because that sound's not getting impeded by the canopy and all that.
Yeah, true. I mean, we heard the shots before he took off, and you could fully hear that it was a chopper when it started up, and then obviously see it once it broke the tree line. So there was no doubt in my mind that, like, I'd probably be 97% confident that it was the chopper and the shooters from the chopper. But yeah, I didn't hear any when he was actually up in the air flying along. Having said that, the mate that you were with said he did hear it.
The shots or the chopper?
Yeah, the shots from the chopper. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
No, fair enough. Like, yeah, my hunt, we only saw those few deer back on the deer. So we ended up coming away with nothing, just to sort of round that story out. So, but still a good trip, still good to get out in the bush and get up in the morning, sunrise, sunsets and all that. They come with it. But you guys saw a few more on your property, eh?
Yeah, so I got there Saturday, sort of midday, names on the board, and then went out and fly camped straight away because there was another gentleman at the quarters with his son. So I just sort of was like, yeah, let them have the shed and we'll go fly camp. Fly camped, got out that afternoon. There was nothing about as we were walking in, and then nothing. And we sort of just were sitting against a tree, just looking into this patch of scrub. And something caught my eye. I was glassing. There was open patches through the scrub that I was more concentrating on through the glassing. And every now and then I'd sort of shift off and scan left and right, a bit more of a wider arc. And as I've gone right, I'm like glassing along, and I'm going right to left. So I'm going back towards where the open patches were. And I've just seen this deer eye. It just stood out like dog nuts, man.
You saw the deer eye?
The deer's eye, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
keep going.
just saw it. There was sort of like a tree in front of us about 40 metres. And just at the tip of like the shrubs or the foliage of the tree, I saw this deer eye, and the white around its eye, and then the dark eye. And I just stopped there, picked up its face, its ears, and there was a little doe just feeding, or it actually got out of its bed. It was bedded down, got out of its bed, and then started grazing on through the scrub. That was the first doe we saw. About an hour later, it was getting on pretty much near on dark, and probably about eight or so doe and fawns come out into graze. So that was pretty cool. We just pretty much watched them just to get a bit of a layout of the land. Steve, the other fella I was with, he shot one of the fawns as well. So yeah, for his compulsory. So yeah, no, it was a good evening. The first evening, that patch of scrub that we were looking in through, all along there is holding a lot of deers. That morning we got up and we walked that scrub, and you could just smell the buck after buck, like, it's like rotten tree or whatever. You could just smell them as you're going along. So that scrub's holding a lot of deer. I don't know how big because we didn't lay our eyes on any males or anything past the spiky, but definitely holding some deer. It's not quite the area that I would have beeline for, because about a year ago I hunted the same property, and just on the next sort of, I don't know what you call it, area that you can hunt, you can like dictate that you're going to go hunt, that had a whole bunch of red hinds, a red stag, and some fallow in it. And that's sort of where I was pretty keen to go. But like anything, when you're out hunting, the wind depicts what you do. You might have this perfect plan. Yeah, I'm going to beeline there. It's going to be sick. And the wind just like fucks your plans. And you're sort of like, all right, well, you've got to readjust to where you want to go. But that was, it was still a good trip. Not much happened, but still a good trip. Yeah.
How many does that did you actually see?
I think about 12 all up. So when Steve took his shot, he saw a few more. So in it as a collective, maybe 16. But I only saw 12.
You didn't take a shot, did you?
No.
This is how you see me setting up this question, Josh. So is there something going on with you and shooting does? What's the deal here?
Now look, that first night it was getting a lot low light, and sitting there that first night, and I'm like, oh, do I? Don't I? Because obviously got to get compulsory. So
yes,
yeah, and I probably should have and could have, but I just was like, oh, it's getting so late. I'm going to have to get it back to camp and deal with it. And we were fly camping, so pretty much would have had to pack up the fly camp and then go into the main camp area and put it up, hang it and all the rest of it. And I was just like, nah, I'm pretty tired. I had a pretty long Thursday, Friday. So I was just like, nah, I can't be bothered Saturday. So I just didn't.
So
passed up some more.
You sound like you sound like you've seen those deer in the afternoon rather than morning.
Yeah, we saw them Saturday night. Saturday afternoon. Yeah.
Like I'm just finding it hard to understand the fact of if I got a deer that gave me a decent shot, it's dead. And I'm coming home with meat, and I'm coming home with a compulsory, hopefully 2 compulsories that we need before we can actually trophy hunt under that property.
Look, I shot a spiky fawn, so I wasn't pressed for meat, to be perfectly honest, at all. And it's something that I do struggle with, the compulsories. Like, I'm not going to... I'd struggle with the fact that we're shooting our breeders and we're shooting the next generation and deer coming through. And I understand we've got to do that to control the numbers. I do understand that. But essentially, like on the ADA, say, for argument's sake, they do management shoots throughout the year. So if the numbers haven't been taken by hunters, they'll go out and do a spotlighting run to control the numbers. So you're essentially managing those numbers anyway. Now, there's the other side to this argument as well. Well, the compulsories are there, so everyone just doesn't go out and shoot
just bucks,
big bucks or trophy animals. So I get that as well. And it's a good rule when you look at it like that. It is a very good rule. But I still struggle a little bit into, like, inside going, okay, yeah, we're shooting our breeders and our next generation. It gets a little bit conflicting. And not just that, I do like to watch the deer. I mean, as the first lot of does and fawns were coming out the fence, this doe hopped the fence, and this fawn, it was like an internal fence, not an external fence. This doe hopped the fence, and then this young fawn didn't want to go through the bolt hole, and he kept just running around in circles and acting like a spaz. I think me and Richie were watching him for like half an hour, just doing circle work, like little donuts and carrying on. And I thought that was pretty cool. Filmed it, and then he finally, got through the bolt hole and chased his mum.
You could have ended its suffering. You do realise this. You could have just shot it and ended its suffering.
Yeah.
It's probably got some sort of mental deficiency as well. You could have shot that and stopped that gene of being a fucking idiot.
But I didn't know, man, if that fawn, like I couldn't, because it was such a low light, I couldn't identify if it was a male or a female. So what if it was a male and you shoot it, and if you didn't, and he grows up and is like 250, like a huge deer? It could be, man.
That's
It
a
could
what
be.
if.
I was sort of like definitely conflicted, and I always am conflicted with that and the whole management side of things. I mean, not that there's a lack of deer in the southeast. There's certainly a lot of deer in the southeast, but yeah, I just was enjoying watching it and just chilled, and we could have shot all of them. To be honest, I'm pretty sure we could have had a crack at all of them, but
Oh,
it's not
Jesus.
about that.
What I'm hearing is
it's
you're
in
only
my-
going to shoot like 10-year-old bucks who are never going to get any bigger. That's you from now
Yeah.
on. You're only shooting 10-year-old bucks because they ain't going to get any bigger than that.
Well, no.
Well-
He's not going to be shooting 10-year-old bucks because he needs to shoot his compulsories first. And how
That's
many
never
times
gonna
he's
happen.
given this up?
Because they could become
He's just
10-year-old
like,
bucks one
nah.
day.
But like my philosophy is, well, not philosophy, my point of view with all this is the aerial culls are cracking down in the southeast at the moment. So conservation of deer, I feel like is sort of null and void, to be honest, because the deer that you leave, there's a deer that they're going to shoot, and that's going to rot away. So really, it's a conservation of meat and take it yourself.
Yeah.
To be honest, because they're going to have a time limit if they're as successful as they want to be. There's not going to be deer there in 3 years.
Yeah. Get your meat,
Okay.
get your meat where you can.
Look, I get
Yeah.
that. I do get that because you're probably right, and we're probably going to head towards, as a country, not having deer, possibly not even having firearms anymore. So I kind of get that, but at the same time, I'm also conscious. I have so much freezer space. So if I fill that freezer space and I then go out hunting and shoot something, it's a waste of meat, which I'm not going to do. I find that I don't like that idea anymore of just sort of shooting for the sake of shooting. So I'd rather utilize it. So if I've already got meat or know I'm going to get meat, I can be a little bit more choosy, a little bit more picky, on sort of when and where I'm going to shoot the animal. And not just that, for me as a hunter, it's not just about shooting. It's about being out there, honing in on my skills of finding the animals as well. I mean, we're coming onto the rut, and there's a group of 8 does around. That group of 8 does is going to have a male kicking around with it when the rut hits. It's going to draw that buck in there to that group of does once they get into estrus.
I got a question for you that I thought about this and I asked our mate that we're out there on old shooting with on the weekend. So right now it's like rut's sort of building and it's not quite there yet. If you come across, just say, a buck like Caleb's, would you take your shot? No, regardless of the fact that you're on an ADA property or not. So let's put ourselves in the private property.
Yeah.
So there's no sort of repercussions of that. Would you take your shot?
Cool.
Can't be fucked. It's nearly dark, and got to hang it up. And
No. All right. Let's put it in a perfect environment. It is like
it's morning.
9 a.m. in the morning.
Oh,
It's full sun. You can see he's standing there feeding broadside. Would you take your shot?
do I have room in my fridge, or do I know people?
Oh,
No.
turn it up.
All right. Yes. Perfect scenario. You have all the room in the fridge. You can use that meat. You've got. There's nothing that says don't take the shot, Josh.
Bloody else, I'll take the shot.
Okay.
Wouldn't it make more sense that you wouldn't take that shot because the conservation of the deer and the gene of that deer, he hasn't passed it on for that year, and you should actually wait till after rut to take that shot.
Well, I'm pretty confident that if he's that big and that old, I mean, 10 years he's going to be regressing. So, no, it wouldn't be 10 years, maybe 8, 7, 8, from my understanding. So, 100% he's already passed on his genes in the previous rut. So, yeah, I'd be pretty okay with that because one more year he's going to start going downhill in his growth. So, yeah, bloody oath, I'll take that shot.
But he might fuck 20
Yeah,
more
but
deer in this rut.
Yeah. You've also robbed another possible, I don't know how many they sort of pass along per year, but just say 10 to 15 does, he could have knocked up. That's 10 to 15 other stompers. But then over the period of 5 years, you've probably wiped out like 300 deer that could have been fucking killer.
We're going to get into his head and he's never going to fucking pull the trigger again.
No, 'cause I know that on some degree, both of you understand my side of the argument just as much as I understand your side of this argument. But I'm pretty confident that he would have passed on genes and at that stage of his life. And yeah, he's a good animal, a good trophy. He's got meat. It's pre-rut. Yeah, I'd take it, definitely. I've got room in my freezer. Yeah, definitely going to take it. And these are the things that I guess I battle with when I go hunting is sort of make a judgment call on that day. I mean, the next day might be different as well. I mean, say you shoot say you shoot a meat animal the first day, and we do have a good friend that says, you know, meat first and then worry about everything else after that. But what if you shoot that meat animal on the first day, and then after that you're almost taking away from the rest of the days you're spending out there because you're like, oh, well, okay, I'm done. Cool. Well, I've got meat. I can carry only, you know, one deer home with me with my setup at the moment. So if I shoot another one, am I just going to waste it? Is it just going to go to waste?
No, I disagree. I reckon like you get something and then pressure's off. You're like, if the rest of the hunt's a bust, I've still got that thing to take home. It's the old don't pass up on the first day what you'd happily take on the last thing. So if you got meat, you're fucking all right. I've banked something for the weekend. Sick. The pressure's off. If I do get something else, bonus. Like I just reckon it's so more relaxed once you've got something. Once you've got runs on the board, it's just everything else is more chilled and you can enjoy the weekend even more. Whereas if you haven't got anything and it's day 3, you're like, fuck, I haven't got anything.
And if you really needed to take more meat home, you would choose just a different way to actually store that meat because
you find a way.
I know all us 3, we'd rather have the bone in. So that's going to take up a lot more room. But if you had the chance and got that second sort of meat animal or you got the buck with it, you would just bone out everything and just get the meat home. It'd be fine if you threw the meat in the bags and put that on the roof rack or something like that. It'd be fine for the travel home. It's going to keep it cool. So therefore, you'd be able to actually travel with that.
Yeah, but it's also being able to store it at home as well and
give it away
and manage it that way.
Give it away. Give it away to your mates.
Yeah, or give it away. You are correct. But you know, as I said, I got meat now. So, you know, I can concentrate
just
on
retire,
other things.
mate. Just fucking retire. You don't need any meat until you've eaten that. Don't go hunting until you've eaten all your meat. Just retire.
Well,
no more rut hunts for you.
I offloaded a bunch of meat, so I've got room. I offloaded a bunch of meat last night, so I've got room.
This conservation idea of yours, the conservation of, as Josh would say, the environment, but but this conservation idea that you have on not wanting to shoot does, but then you'd shoot a buck before a rut. I feel like it's kind of a little backwards, in my opinion. That's my opinion only. But I feel like the does are probably better off shot before rut as well.
Okay,
than after rut.
Yeah, you're saying exactly the same thing. That fawn could be a female or a male. Say if it's a female, say it's got, you know, however many years of breeding, you're taking out another 5-6 animals. So on your argument, don't hunt at all.
No, this is my argument against your opinion. But I would shoot either of them, to be honest. Yeah. I would take that shot regardless.
Yeah. That's
my argument.
Yeah, but you got an empty freezer, then you're going to take whatever you can. You got your compulsories, which I understand you've got to do. So you got to do your compulsories. So you're telling me after your 2 compulsories, you would still go out hunting because you got a freezer full. So would you still hunt?
Well, who said I'd have a freezer full?
Because after your compulsories, would you have enough room to store a trophy meat?
Yeah.
Trophy?
Yeah.
He just went out and bought a fucking fridge to store meat in after the last hunt. We brought meat back for him.
Yeah,
he brought the meat back, then went and bought the fridge. So I feel like the way things are now, get as much meat as you can and then worry about the logistics of storing the shit. Like, buy yourself a new freezer, because the way the meat prices are, you're better off fucking storing up like the old hibernation, fucking save up for the winter.
Look, I get that, but it's not going to be my last hunt for the year either. Like, I got one this weekend and then more coming as well. So it's like, okay, do I want to just shoot everything right now and then not hunt, or do I want to just spread it out? Because I enjoy the act of pursuing the animal.
What you need to do is shoot that first fawn that steps out in front of you and have that over and done with. Don't wait for a one to be hit by a car and you're like, well, he's done anyway. I might as well take the jaw.
Shoot your fawn because I want to eat it.
Yeah, shoot your fawn. Keep it. We can split up the meat from doe to fawn, or spiky and fawn in your case. And then I want to do a sit down test on the different quality of meat.
When I say
sit down and judge it.
I just want to clarify. When I say spiky fawn, it was a fawn. It was just a male fawn.
So you've shot your fawn.
Yeah.
So you just got to shoot your doe.
No, I've got my doe as well.
So you've got your compulsories then.
Yes. See, this is something else that I find it hard to distinguish. What classes as a fawn?
The class of a fawn. I'm trying to explain. The classes of a fawn, I think under a certain age, I'm going to say like 6 to 8 months, but I could be totally wrong. Someone correct me. But there's a tooth that they don't actually get until a certain age. And so that's why the bottom jaw is used for the evidence. And if they've got that tooth that they get after that age, it's not classed as a fawn.
Okay.
Correct?
It'd be nice to know what age they form that tooth.
I'm pretty sure that's in your hunter's handbook for the ADA, Josh. So you might want to go through that one.
Yeah, you might want to study up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure that's how they work it. But yeah. So if anyone actually knows the exact year or date or whatever that tooth or whatever forms, then let us know.
Yeah, that would be good to know. Don't you know if it's in the hunter's handbook?
Yeah, I think I just gave you a rough term of when I think it is, but I need to clarify. You find out when you submit it as a form. And they're like, nope, you just got 2 adults.
What the fuck is this?
This has got canines. This is not a doe.
This is the jawbone of a fox. What are you doing?
It's like since being a part of the ADA and having the jawbones as a compulsory,
To present.
I've never seen jawbones so different when you walk around a paddock and it's most likely lamb or sheep, and you see a jawbone on the ground, you're like, I wonder if that'll pass.
It's just 4 years old and
So-
chalky white.
Yeah, perfectly bleached. One thing I wanted to get into about the hunt as well. I haven't posted it or nothing or said it to you guys, but I actually found my first shed.
Oh, wow.
It's it was pretty much it's at least a year old because it's bleached, but there wasn't much to it. It was pretty much a knocked about. When I actually saw it, in my head going, I don't want that as my first shed, and I felt like walking past it, but no, I picked it up.
Fallow.
But yeah, fallow. So just all the fuck, I'm blanking the tray. The fucking whatever. It was just like broken off, and it was just there wasn't much left of it. So either
the palm was
chewed
broken
up,
off.
or palm. That's the one.
Yeah.
The palm was sort of broken off, so it was quite slender. It was kind of like the cull bucks you see that are just really sort of just straight and pointy kind of thing. But it was a fallow. And our mate found a pretty good set, to be honest, of sheds. They were only about 8 meters apart. So we're walking along. When was it? The last morning we were there. So it would have been Sunday morning. And just as that light starts to get grey, and you can't really see colour, but you can start picking out shapes. We're just walking along, and next minute he picks up this fallow shed with a decent palm. It was bigger than my my head back here if you could see it if I didn't have a background.
On the cabin wall.
Yeah, but it was quite a decent palm actually. And then we sort of walked around the tree, had a bit of a look, and then it was where we sat down to sort of wait for that sun to come up properly. And next minute, he's got this other half of it. And what was cool about it was this other half of the shed had just all this fencing that just wrapped around it. So it was just a bundle of wire around sort of the midpoint of the shed, and it was a pretty cool find, to be honest.
Yeah,
Decent looking shed. Still had some colour to it. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's all right. You got
Might have to get.
the one you found?
Yeah, I got the one I found. Do you want me to get it?
Yeah.
May as well. I had to go get my fucking shoe out.
All right, you guys keep talking while I come back.
I actually found out something as well, that there is Roosa existing on Hamilton Island. I didn't see some, but some of the other people we were with when we did the Passage Peak walk coming back down the mountain, and I didn't see them, but then when they caught up with us, they're like, "Oh, did you see those deer, Caleb?" I'm like, "Oh, what do they look like?" And they described them. Oh, they're Roosa. And then I was talking to a mate of ours later on, and he just messaged me out of the blue. He's like, "Oh, did you know there's Roosa on Hamilton Island?" I'm like, "Well, funny you say that because some were just spotted." But yeah, there you go, Roosa on Hamilton Island.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I didn't actually know they were there.
Yeah, me either. Kind of wish I
Yeah.
saw them myself, to be honest.
There was actually, I didn't realise, but one of my managers went up to north of Port Augusta to sort of check out a job that we've just picked up as well. And he swears by it that he's seen a fallow deer dead on the side of the road,
Yeah, wow.
which I didn't realise they were that far north.
Yeah, I've heard people say they're up
That's-
there, but you're kind of like, oh yeah, sure.
It was north of Port Augusta. So it's pretty barren. Yeah. But anyway, but my shed. So I'm not sure how well you can see that if I have to turn off my background or not. But it's something like that. Can you
Maybe.
guys see that properly, or do you want me to change it?
Oh, it's like
Move it.
fading in and out like it's a ghost antler.
All right, give me a second.
Turn your fucking. There we go.
How's that? There we go. Yes, there's not much left of it, to be honest. Decent brow,
Mm.
but yeah, it's got some mold growing. Oh, it's starting to get a tinge of green to the base. So she's been there for a while.
Mm.
But whether it's been used as a chew toy or not, but yeah, it's first one, so I'll take that.
Yeah, it's a nice first one.
Yeah, and there's my head that I was talking about. So, now she's up. But yeah, I'll leave it off now. But it was pretty cool. At least I popped the cherry on the shed.
That's something. So you boys are hunting again this weekend coming, which when this episode comes out,
So,
will have just been.
back down.
But together this time or different properties?
It is together. It's on the same block this time. So there's actually there's 5 of us, Josh, that are heading through to hunt on that block.
Yeah.
So it should be good. And if Josh leaves a doe and I'm standing there next to him, I'm shooting that doe. So, and look, to be honest, Josh, if you see a doe Sunday morning and you're like, you know what, Kiachi hasn't got a doe yet because he's a shit hunter and he can't see him, take the shot, I'll take the doe, and you're happy.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I think there's a very different trigger figure that exists with you when you're with us versus other people. I think it's a very different trigger finger and mindset because the competition goes out the window when you're with other people.
Yeah, well, the other 2 guys that you shot with last weekend, they already had their compulsories, didn't they? And they were actually going for a decent buck. Correct?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so.
As far as I know, yeah. But was that something that influenced your mindset on a doe?
No, not really, man. As I said, it's hard. In the moment, sometimes I'm just like, yeah, okay, I'm happy just to watch them and see what comes out and learn the area and learn the movement of that group in that area. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't know. I don't understand how because I'm sure that you both love seeing, like watching the deer as well.
Well, not when you don't see them. So,
Yeah. They're cool
Yeah.
to see, yeah.
yeah.
I do get that. And as I said, maybe if you put one down on like for the season already, maybe you just start getting a little bit sort of picky almost.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
I think the other way,
don't
you
know.
can enjoy watching them more once you've got one down. He's like, well, the pressure's off. I don't have to shoot them. Now I can just watch them.
But if
Then again, I understand where you're coming from with he's already got his, like, sort of, then again, you don't say you haven't got a doe, have you? So you really haven't got, you got your compulsory, so they're down already.
like, okay, well,
I don't know where they come from.
how am I trying to, how do I try and put this? I just had another brain fart actually. Like Caleb, when we were out last year and we saw nothing at the start, and then we walked down Echidna Creek and then looked back and there was that spiky that ran out for like half a second. We walked across that little road across Kidney Creek, went through that gate, got on the other side of the gate, and the tea tree that we just walked past, a spiky ran across from our left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, okay, in that situation, it was our last stalk, our last morning. Yeah, great. You know, guns blazing. Neither of us had got anything. We all needed meat. All the rest of it. Yeah, cool, good. But imagine you go to an area and the first day you're seeing a group of 8 deer, and you haven't blown out that area. So you're like, okay, cool. I know that tomorrow I can come back to this exact point, and chances are that group of deer will come out and feed in the afternoon again and go back. So, okay, I can hunt that area again if the wind's right, knowing that, okay, the deer are going to be there still. All right, let's go check out something else. Does that make sense?
I see what you're saying, but in that moment, I'll be like, fucking get one down, because what if the wind changes tomorrow? What if the weather sets in tomorrow? Like, there's all these what ifs. So if the deer are presenting, fucking take something, I think. Now, this flies in the face of what I did in the rut last year before I shot the moose, where I passed stuff up. So I do understand the concept of not feeling it in the moment, because there were deer that I weren't feeling, that I didn't want to shoot.
Yeah,
You were like, why the fuck did he pass that up?
Fellow, that, man, I would have been happy to just pull the trigger and I would have made room for that sort of pearl. 100%. I would have made room. I would have forced myself to make room and done it because it was a pearl. But up until that point, man, and you were passing deer for days, like through those stalks. But then you pass up that black one and then you get to shoot that moose. What if that moose never came, man?
Well, I can understand the fact of being selective on a buck, but being selective on just a doe when you're not seeing the bucks and you sort of understandably.
Wasn't that your first fallow? Was that your first fallow?
Nah, it wasn't my first fallow. It was the first antlered fallow.
Oh, right.
Okay.
So my objective was kind of a buck for that particular trip. It wasn't meat. So I had a clear objective. So that's probably why I passed up others before I got to that one.
The biggest buck that you probably could have shot was the first buck that you shot. Was it? Is that the case?
The first antlered fallow that I've shot was that. Yes.
Fuck you.
Whereas red, I've shot spikies. I haven't shot decent pointer, like 12 point or 10 point or whatever.
But like a red is a stag, where it's a buck.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, you see, this is the other thing. This is the other thing that I'm going to ask you. You passing up those deer for all them days prior to your moose, like, how much did you learn in animal movement, the patterns of the animals, the groups of animals, just perfecting your stalking? reading your wind as you're going through there. Like, you're doing that day in, day out, passing up animals, but you're learning so much. If you just was to shoot the first thing that you see just because it's a compulsory or because you need meat or because of this and that, you may not learn anything because you may have just got lucky. You may have just stumbled across it, gotten lucky, shot it, and then you're thinking that you know the patterns. You go back there for a second time in the future and you're like, oh, okay, they're not here. Why aren't they here? You know, like, because you haven't learned anything. You haven't learned how to read it. You haven't learned how to hunt it, the land, that property. You may have disturbed it too. You know, it's all those little factors that come into play in my mind when you're also hunting.
I think we hunt differently. When I hunt, I go out with an objective. So when I shot the moose, my objective was to shoot a buck, like a good one.
And you're in a good,
that was my objective.
You're in a good property to do so.
That was a great property for it. And there was the luxury of passing stuff up because you did see stuff regular and it was the middle of the rut and it was great. But if my objective was to take meat, then I would have shot a doe first. So
but
I think
you can't pass up. You can't deny the fact that you learnt things in passing up all those animals because there was other like bucks there that were fucking fine to shoot for a first animal. Like any now going if that was my first hunt ever as a hunter, going down there and doing that, there's a lineup of bucks that I would have been like, yeah, okay, some of them didn't give you a shot opportunity, but others did. And I would have been like that. I would be happy with that as a first buck if that was my end state, just to get a buck. I'd be happy. I'd be like, yeah, cool. Now, granted, you hung out and you did what your gut was telling you, but you also learned. Every single time you went out, you learned. And you learned what not to do. You learned which rides to come up over and go, okay, there'll be deer over that next ridge, so I need to approach this ridge with caution. Cool. You do that.
I see what you're saying, but if I shot something the first day, I was still going to be out every other day following whoever else's turn it was around and would have learnt the same lessons. So I do see what you're saying, but you learn lessons just being out there regardless. So if you're the one up for a shot, then you're still learning the same lessons as if you're trailing behind. It's the same thing. You're still learning lessons, man. And I just happened to have exceeded my objective in this occasion.
Yes.
Are you though? Because there's a difference between following the leader and being on point and doing the hunt. Yeah, you can learn a little bit, but your senses aren't as switched as if you're I guess, if you're hunting in a group of three, as that first person that's sort of steering the hunt a little bit.
Correct. It's important to do both.
Super switched. Like you just get into this full zone. And if you're behind them, you do relax a little bit. You're sort of like, oh, he's up front, he's got this. Yeah, I'm still looking around and taking things in, but not to the same extent as if you were running point. That sounds fucking super weird, but like, do you get my drift? I don't know. This is just the way I see it.
I see what you're saying, but it's important to do both because there is a different perspective from both points of view.
Yes, and I get that, and I understand where you're coming from. You would just want to go shoot meat. Cool. Go. Like, that's fine. You would go to your compulsories. That's cool.
I just think that's how I go about it. I have a clear objective, and as soon as I've achieved that objective, the pressure's off to do whatever, and then then I can enjoy. But as soon as I get somewhere, my first objective is I want what I want. I want meat or I want a trophy, and I'm going to set about doing it in this manner. And then once I've achieved that, then I can do whatever. I don't go out going, I'm going on a hunt. Is the freezer full? I don't know. Well, no, I know. My freezer's empty. I need meat. There's my objective. Achieve that, and then whatever else comes along, bonus. I'm very direct with that.
I think this subject is something we have to agree to disagree on.
It's personal preference.
So, yeah, we're not budging.
Josh is in the conservation camp.
I can see where. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I feel like you're scared to let off a shot at a doe. But
Just you don't want to get the yips, man.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
yeah.
What'd you say?
You don't want to leave it so long you get the yips. Like you get presented with something and you're like, oh, and then you get buck fever and miss.
Oh, look, my first deer for this season, and I actually had this conversation with Richie out at fly camp when we spike camped. I said, obviously, it'd been a while since shooting a deer, since the end of last year, going through summer. Obviously, that summer period, you don't get out hunting as much. And yes, us three did, and we got presented with deer and we passed them up. But that little fawn, male fawn that I shot, was the first one for this season. And you know what? I actually got behind my gun, sort of got my distance, everything, and I was shaking. I was like, all right, I'm actually nervous. First shot for the year. Haven't dropped a deer for this year, only because I passed them up. And I was that excited and sort of happy because I found the deer. I presented a shot opportunity behind the rifle. I had to put the rifle down for a second and just compose myself and get back to the rifle and shoot. And I'm like, well, that's a part of the excitement, and that's a part of being a hunter, is being able to, I guess, manage through that excitement, all the rest of it, know when you need to just calm yourself down and take the shot. I quite enjoyed that because, if you haven't shot for a while on couch, you both got a smug like smile on your face. You're quite nervous the first animal that you shoot at if it's been a while, because you're like, well, I don't want to fuck this up because you're dealing with another life. You don't want to put a bad shot or miss and then go back to camp and say to the boys, oh, I missed. That's an embarrassment in itself, really. That adds pressure on to something that's already in huge pressure. And I know you both have felt this pressure before. So
Yeah, I don't get in my head this much though.
Good. Hey?
I don't get in my own head this much though. Like, just get the monkey off the back, fucking move
I call
on.
bullshit. I call
No, I don't.
absolute bullshit.
I don't.
Look, I think what's influencing my opinion on this sort of, if a doe walked out in front of me and I had a shot at it, is the fact that I really haven't had much of an opportunity out of the 3 hunts I've been on to get a shot. So it's sort of that frustration of getting out there again and again to, it's not like we're going to the first trip this year was High Country Vic, where them opportunities are more sort of scarce in a way, or to get that distance to take that shot, regardless if you can see the deer or not, is that next level harder than sort of Southeast. So been 2 hunts in Southeast where I've sort of haven't been able to get that shot. I've seen them about, but to get that sort of identical shot where I have the time, like yourself, Josh, to put down the rifle, compose, reset, and pull the trigger. Fuck, I'd love that right now. With all that frustration, it'd be a lot easier for me to take that shot right now.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
Which is probably it. But yeah. So I think we're done with that subject.
We're done. I think it's all personal preference. I understand bits and pieces of each, but at the end of the day, you're the one behind the trigger when there's something in front of you, and it's up to you.
I just don't feel like you'll do that when I'm behind you, ready to pull the trigger as well. I feel like that's when you'd be like, nah, I'm going to take this one. Because you know that I'm going to take that.
I passed up during the High Country to go and walk to you both and offer it to you back. So no. Look, I'm not as selfish as you making me out to be at all.
No, I guess we'll weekend if that situation arises, what the outcome will be.
Oh, if you like to hunt with me.
But yeah.
Sounds like the next hunt we might be going in 3 different directions.
Sounds like these meets conversations will probably become more of a thing because we'd be like, fuck that, we're not going to see it.
No, I'm gonna go with you from now on, Caleb. I'm gonna go with you and watch you log a hawk and just put the camera on you. So then I have video evidence to refer back to when we have these conversations.
Brilliant.
Done.
Let's do it. Get some
Wait,
fucking
are you wanting to
content
be? You just want to be a cat. You don't get criticised for not pulling a trigger.
No.
I don't know if you're deflecting Josh right now because you're like, oh, I'm behind the camera now. The pressure's on you. But then what will happen is you won't press record. You're like, oh, I just wasn't feeling it. Like he's in his natural environment, and I was just happy watching him. I didn't need to press record.
Oh, let's go.
I don't know.
Sorry, Josh. It seems like you can't win right now.
I've seen everybody flush on their first animal that they've taken for a while. So, no. I completely understand and know that that feeling happens. And if it doesn't happen, okay, good on you. But if I know that every shooter goes through those feelings. It may not happen once you're in amongst the season and you got a few shots underneath your belt and you're cool, calm, collected, and know what to do. But I'm pretty conscious that everyone goes through them. I mean, you can deny it all you want, but it's true.
There's pressure, but it's just whether you clutch in that moment.
And Couchy's right. There's those more snap shots and not deliberate shots. Yeah, you're not so much in your own head, but the deliberate shots, bloody oath, especially if there's some distance between you and the animal, because you should be taking your time to get your range, maybe look at your wind if it's that far out, and make a conscious thought of the scenario. So you're certainly in your mind a lot, like being able to dwell in your mind a lot more, especially if it's not moving away fast or you haven't bumped it or it's not wary of your position. Whereas, you're going through scrub and it's thick. They're not wary, but they're moving. And you're just like, oh, there's an open patch, bang. You don't have the time to worry about it, but you're not shooting 200 plus meters either.
No.
Sometimes I think too much time is actually a bad thing because then you think about it too much. It's not a natural reflex. You're actually thinking about it way too much.
Well, that's the other thing. You've also got to wait for the animal to give you a shot. I mean, a fellow with a 308 chest shot, it's going to do it fine. Frontal. If it's turned away, you've got time on your hands because you're waiting for it to go broadside. Or you might come across a mob and you've got to pick out your animal. Okay, I need to take my compulsory. So I've got to remove the males or the bucks, antlered animals out of the equation. I've already got a fawn. I need a doe, so identify the doe. Okay, how many does are giving me a shot placement? Oh, do I like the colour of that doe, the skin? Do I want to take a skin? All those sort of things you're going to think about.
No, fair enough.
You both are like, no, just shoot.
No, it depends on the scenario of the objective. Like, I'm not going to worry about what the doe skin looks like if I have to get a compulsory doe. I'm just going to fucking shoot this first doe that it comes across.
Yeah, for sure. And the mob scenario as well. That's probably the time where you'd be more selective. But I wouldn't think you'd let that mob wander through and you've not taken a shot. Admittedly, if there's a time when they're doubling up on all that and you haven't got a clean shot, then that's fair enough. But if you get that clean shot, then I know I'll take it. So.
I think we've fucking wrung the towel out. We've fucking dug to the bottom of the well. I think we're dry.
Yeah.
We're not going in dry. We're coming out dry. Is there anything else we want to touch on before we wrap this thing up?
Yeah, I got one. So we had a message from a listener today or yesterday, one of the two. It was Scott from Outdoor South Oz. So he came up with a suggestion that, we might throw the question here and there to see who or see what the consensus is of their opinion. But the question is, what range do you zero at? So his ranges he suggested was 25 meters, 50 meters, or 100 meters. So I wanted to pose that question to you guys. Josh?
100 meters.
100 meters?
Yeah.
So is that regardless of caliber or?
Yeah. 22. I'm a firm believer at 50, but centerfire, say if it's a deer rifle, 100 meters. I don't believe in zeroing high at 100. So your true zeros like say at 300, for argument's sake, you're shooting a 243 and you're 2 inches high at 100 meters, so you're good for 300. So technically, in that instance, 300 meters is actually your zero, not 100 meters. You're high at 100 meters.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're not actually zeroing at 100, are you?
No, you're just using the distance.
Well, you're you're zeroing at 100 to beyond at 300. So you are zeroing at 100. It's just the range that you want to be dead on is
what's the
at the range
of zero then? Because if you're hitting, your exact point of aim, and if that's like the definition of zero at 100, then okay,
you can't call it zero. You can't call it zero.
But
you're 2 inching at 100 meters.
Well, all right. Well, no, I understand that, but your process of zeroing the rifle is done at the 100-meter mark.
Yeah, but your rifle's not zeroed then at.
I understand that.
Meters. You're right.
I understand that. I'm thinking of the process rather than the actual meaning of the process.
Well, in that instance, you could zero high at say 50. I don't think that would work very well. High at 50 for 100 meters, zero. But it's I don't know. All I know is I strive for bang on an inch or under in my grouping, and I'll call that zero at 100 meters. And because I've got dialable turrets, and I'm a firm believer in dope data of previous engagement. So I'm a firm believer in zeroing as perfectly as you can at 100 meters, and then shooting out in 100-meter increments to whatever max effective range you're going to put on your weapon, and then doing a drop sheet or a dope card and using that as a reference point, or using a ballistic app and running your powder and your speeds and your bullet weight through that. But even if you're using a app for your dope card, I still suggest you shooting those distance in real time to see if there's any variance between your app and in real time, if that makes sense. But I would not zero for 50. I wouldn't zero for anything under 100 meters. As you know, under a certain distance, you've got to aim high because that bullet's still traveling, obviously underneath your crosshairs sort of thing. I don't know how to explain this verbally correctly like that well, but so you've got to aim high at a certain distance under 100 meters. But minute a deer, you've got a very large target underneath 100 meters. So if you're an inch or two off, you're still hitting vitals. So you've got a little bit of fudge factor.
Like with the you said you wouldn't want to zero. We're talking centerfires below 100 meters. I feel like the other downfall about zeroing below 100 meters as well is that at, or for one of the ranges, he gave 25. I'm guessing that's more a 22, but we'll, with a centerfire, 25 to 50 meters, what would look good at that distance at 100 meters, you might not be happy with, and you won't be able to sort of fine tune as much with your spread and your deviation from point of aim.
Yeah,
I feel like that sort of, you won't receive that benefit then as if you would receive at 100 meters.
Yeah.
So, but it's good to practice a shot that is at 50 to 70 meters with a centerfire too, if you're like fox shooting, rabbit shooting, if you want to shoot with a centerfire, because for those times that target does show itself at that range, which they do quite often. It's good to know where your point of aim should be for something like that. So going off the zero, good to practice at those short ranges. Everyone likes to go long, but those opportunities do arise as well.
Yeah, bloody oath. Definitely. And the more time at the range and getting your data and knowing your rifle, the better. 100%.
Yeah. You got anything to bring up on that topic, Caleb?
I mean, nothing different really. 22, 50.
Much the same.
50 meters, centerfire, 100 meters. And yeah, like Josh said, just get dope at all the different distances. I do know a mate of ours has his centerfire zeroed for 200 meters because he reckons that's where most of his shots are taken. Like most deer present at that range, and that's why he's zeroed for that.
I think one of the conceives the 100 to 300 is that distance, and the 200-meter mark is that midpoint where he can allow just a flat shot theoretically from 100 to 300. It's a inch up and an inch down, which is minute a deer.
The only thing that I see with like that presents with zeroing high at 100 for like a between 200 and 300 meter zero is that if there is an animal further away from that, you're back to a guessing game unless you get a bullet compensated made for your exact load, bullet weight, and all the rest of it, and then you have your hash markings. And the next step to getting rid of turrets in a hunting situation that would work fine. And look, all these options work. They will work. Yeah. It's just what's best for you. I find it simple at dialing, and if I'm walking thick scrub, while my scope, my power back, I put my parallax at 100 meters, and I'll set it at 100 meters. So before I go on a stalk, I'll do this. So it's all in focus in thick scrub. And then if I've got a further shot, well, instead of aiming off and guessing, well, I can dial to the exact distance and then just change my parallax and go. And repeating that cycle on the range to get used to what you need to do and getting into a bit of rhythm. So, all right, I'm going to take a shot at 400 meters now, dial it up, parallax, breathing or position, natural point of aim at target, position, breathing, squeeze off the shot, follow through. That's just a part of the natural cycle now that I go through when shooting. To be able to be repeatable between shots. They're by no means a good shot at all.
I was just sort of to breach on what you were getting at with practicing at the range. I thought about this on the weekend was how often as a hunter stalking along without sort of have an ambush point where you're waiting, how often you get that shot from a standing crouching position or against a tree compared to laying down. I feel like I know myself that I don't actually practice that much unless we're out sort of on a block with a 22. Practice my standing shooting or my crouch. I'm going to sort of implement in my sort of range days and more so block shooting as well, is to try and practice more of that standing, kneeling, crouching against a tree, those sort of non-typical stances.
Yeah.
So, because that's your first stance at the time when a deer does walk out, is you are walking, standing. They're the most probable sort of variables that you can sort of give yourself.
Yeah, I agree. Under 100 metres, your fudge factor's less, and I do wonder if you are going to be taking a shot at an animal past 100 metres standing, man. Like how would you, even if you practiced, would your brain naturally default, I need a sturdier position, go to it?
Well, I guess with practicing that too, you would find your limit, and you don't know your limit unless you try it.
Exactly.
So you would know that within 150 meters, you are pretty confident to do that, and you know that because you've done it. So, and you know that at 200 meters, you are a bit shaky, and sort of your beating zone is too unpredictable to take that shot. So therefore, you're confident in making that decision at the 200 meter mark that you will not do it standing.
Yeah.
So you would seek that, for the tree, or if you had the opportunity, is to lie down. So
yeah, I'll get you. I just have this natural thing these days where I try and go prone or off a pack. That's my default these days. Not stand, not unless it's I bump something and it's moving, and that's exceptional circumstances in itself. In the fact that I would actually shoot or take the shot. So if not, and if I got time, naturally I'll look for like low grass or high spots where I could go prone. If I can't go prone, okay, take off my pack, put my pack down, use my pack, and I'm high enough. And like our recent purchase, both of ours, we've got our tripod set up. Now that's a huge fudge factor in itself, because unless the animal hasn't seen you and is not wary of your position, you've got to set it up. So you can't do a snapshot or a sort of semi-deliberate shot because you've just got the time frame of deploying the tripod.
I feel like, shooting off your pack is a similar scenario. Doesn't take as long to set up, but the setting up your pack to shoot off is something that's not when you've just slightly bumped a deer out into the open, and it takes that like 5 or 6 steps and stops to work out what's going on.
And there's noise and movement and all that stuff involved with that as well. Getting a pack off your back, getting it on the ground. It's time. This is the reason, and this is why it's important to practice all these different scenarios and know yourself and know your firearm. This is why I've started carrying that monopod with me, the shooting stick that's just single leg, because it's deployable really quickly. It's small, it's light, it's compact. I know I can't fucking shoot standing very well for various reasons. So the next quickest option for me, if something presents quickly, is to take a knee and shoot off that stick, if I'm not going to have the luxury of being able to lay down and taking a prone shot. So I think that's, this is why you just got to know yourself, and you're going to have to have a quick option, and then you're going to have a luxury option when you've got a bit of time to set up the shot. Obviously my preference is prone, probably off a bipod, because that's what I shoot at the range most of the time. That's what I'm most comfortable. And my rifle does shoot different prone off a bipod versus even off a bench sitting. It's different every time. So, you never
get that spot, like point of impact shift, shooting off a pack or your monopod or something like that, which you do need to know. And you're right, Shannon, practicing this at the range and shooting off your pack at the range, or seated or monopod or whatever, imperative. Absolutely imperative to sort of figure out where your rifle's hitting in that situation. And knowing your limits as well. Are you going to shoot off your pack at 500 metres if you're not competent? Probably not. I don't know. But in terms of zeroing 100 metres all the way, I know of a case recently where someone zeroes at 50 and takes their shots mostly at 50 metres, and was out on a hunt and missed a couple times at about 100 to 120 metres. And I don't know if that was the shooter. Like, the shooter seemed confident, so I do wonder if it was a zero.
Yeah.
I think you have to be able to adapt as well. That's the other thing. I hunt with you guys a lot, so I know how we all operate, but I've seen other people who I've never hunted with before and have a certain ethos around how many points of contact you need with the rifle, and therefore when they were presented with an opportunity out hunting, and their ethos is you only have your trigger hand on the rifle. When it came to the shot being presented, they needed to lean against a tree, and they refused to put their other hand up to make a rest for themselves. They couldn't get the shot off. So you have to be adaptable to because you're never going to get presented with the perfect shot like you would at a range when you're actually out there chasing deer. It just doesn't happen. And
that's what I brought up, like, as a thought out hunting, is when we go range, it's off a bench or it's lying down. Like, that's most of our shooting at a range. And it just, to me, it's kind of confusing in why that's the case. Why, as a hunter, we would practice that way. Yeah. The same way a bench rest shooter would shoot their range days as well, where our outcome and our needs are totally different.
It's a valid point,
so,
just going to have uncomfortable days at the range where we're kneeling or standing.
I wouldn't even call it uncomfortable. I would call it almost, it'd be more fun, and it'd be more of a competitive game between us three for sure. So
at least in short bursts, because you're not going to sit there and put 100 rounds down range fucking standing, are you?
Well, let's see how many rounds we could do, like, as a competition, standing without changing your support. That'll be good fun.
We should give it a go, but
yeah, no,
probably time to wrap this thing up anyway. Wrap us up, Josh, because it's late and I need bed advice.
Righto, guys. that's another episode from us at Send It Mate podcast. Tune in next week for another episode of crazy banter and swashbuckling hooliganism.
Sounds like a plan.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. And we'll catch you soon.
Yeah, it's you.
G'day, dude and dudettes. Josh here. Do you find it hard to keep your long, hard barrels free from gun STDs? Maybe you need a clean out of your bore. If this is you, jump on over to highcaliber.com.au and use the promo code SENDITMATE to receive a 10% discount on all your gun cleaning needs. And remember, it's sexy to support Australian-made products. Everyone here at Send It Mate uses high caliber, and we can promise you that it'll keep your firearms free from those pesky gun STDs.